Good afternoon, everybody. Sam out here at Alta Shooting Solutions in Baker, Florida. I want to do a quick video with you guys on some questions I was getting. Been meaning to do this for a while now, but with school and work, kind of been busy and haven't been able to make any videos. But going back, so probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago, posted a picture of some dope cards that I made. And on my social media, I got a bunch of questions asking me about a specific block that was on that being the gun number block, right? So I want to do this video to talk about the gun number, right? What it is, how it's applied, and show you guys actually through the scope what it looks like when you're using this function, right? So what is the gun number, right? So the gun number is derived from a rapid engagement technique that we use quite a bit in tactical style matches or in certain lines of work, right? What it's derived from is called a function called speed drop, right? This was a method that was built, created and developed by Todd Hodnett over at Accuracy First, and then implemented into the Kestrel ballistic solvers, right? So speed drop, rapid engagement tool, used just like it says to rapidly engage targets, right? There's multiple different ways that you guys can use rapid engagement techniques when you're talking precision fire. You could use the 12-inch drill where you're measuring head, the 20-inch where you're doing the torso. You can use point blank zero, but all of those three methods are not a precision style rapid engagement technique, right? So this is where the speed drop comes in. The speed drop is a precision style rapid engagement technique. Takes a little bit more. One key thing you need to have when you're using this feature is you have to know the distance to your target. That is the key. If you don't know your distance to your target, that's where milling, doing your 12, 20-inch zero, or just doing your point blank zero techniques will come in handy, right? So for this, I'm gonna be able to range all my targets out here and then use that information, right? So going into how do we get the speed drop, right? So I'm gonna use a Kestrel. I have a 5700X Elite that I use, and so what you want to do is you want to go into your Kestrel, right? And you want to go into your settings, and you want to make sure you turn on your Accuracy First page, right? So once you have that set turned to on in your settings, you're then going to go to your Kestrel, right? To your ballistic menu. So first couple things you want to do with this, right, is you want to update your gun. Make sure that your gun, the projectile that you're shooting, is actually selected in the gun menu, right? So once that's updated, then you're going to go to your environmentals. Go ahead and do that famous twirl of the Kestrel. Get your updated atmospherics, your density, altitude, and whatnot, right? So once you have that done, you're going to continue to scroll down, right? And you'll see an Accuracy First menu. You're going to go ahead and click on that Accuracy First menu. All right, so once you go into Accuracy First, you're going to see a couple sub-menus, which we're not going to talk about for this video. One being quick win, the other being your win dots for calibrating those, and then you'll see speed drop, right? So you go ahead, click on your speed drop. Once you get in your speed drop sub-menu, you're going to see a couple more sub-menus, right? First one being speed drop number, right? It should be blank for you guys if you've never done this before. All right, so go ahead, click on that speed drop number. So when you get to this menu, you'll see error highlighted, and to the right, you'll see a plus or minus, either a 0.1 or a 0.2. So what this is telling you, or what you are going to tell the Kestrel is, hey, I want my solution, the number that you are going to give me, my gun number, to be accurate to whether it's accurate to a 0.1 deviation of spread, if you will, or a 0.2 accuracy spread, right? For tactical style shooting matches, their targets are generally pretty healthy, so a 0.2 will work. All right, so once you have that 0.2 selected, or 0.1, whatever you want, you're going to go down. You'll see range min and range max. Go past that, you'll see calculate, right? So go ahead and click on calculate, and then it's going to come up. It's going to populate those fields to the right, right? So you'll see speed drop number. So for my Kestrel, for this gun, shooting Federal 175 gold medal match at 2712 feet per second, I get a gun number of 1.9, right? My next down I'm going to see is the range min, range max. Range min being 228 yards and 697 for the max. All right, so what what it means, right? You got your range min and your range max. The min I don't necessarily really worry about, because if I'm shooting under 200 yards, I know at 100 yards I'm point of aim, point of impact at 0, and I can hold over a little bit in between the difference, right? The max is what you want to know, right? So my Kestrel is going to be this method on this gun with this bullet this time of day. It's going to be accurate out to 700 yards. So you need to know that. So when you get out there, and if the range goes past 700 yards, you melt your ranging targets and they're at 800 yards, just know that this method will not work. You will have to use your Kestrel or your dope cards or whatever the case is to do it, right? So once you get that gun number, right, just go ahead, remember that, write it down. You're not going to need your Kestrel anymore, right? All right, so just kind of back up a little bit. When would you not use this? I just want to make this clear. This is not a technique that I would use if I'm shooting a PRS style match. Generally in those style matches, the targets are fairly small. You're looking at 1 MOA up to 2.5, sometimes 3, depending on the match director, right? So this is not a tool for that. Different style matches, different ways to apply this method, right? So what is this? Why is this faster than, say, just ranging the target, pulling out your dope, or looking at your dope card and then dialing your dope? Well, just like that. I don't have to touch my scope. I don't have to touch my rings. I don't have to dial any elevation. Sorry, I don't have to touch my rings, obviously, but I don't have to dial any elevation on there. So I simply just get that gun number, get the range, and I go, right? So where you really get a lot of benefit from this method is if you have one of those weapon-mounted laser range finders, like a Storm, a Raptor, or Seiko, or I think the Seikos or whatever they're called. Those, you're behind the gun, you range a target, pulls your dope up. If you don't have the applied ballistics version, then you know the range to the target. You hold over in your reticle and you go and you send it and you're good. All right. So how do we apply the gun number to shooting, right? So two methods that you guys can use, and each one has their benefits, right? So method number 1, right? So what I'm gonna do for method 1, it's where I essentially I leave my turrets at 0, right? I don't dial any dope. I don't have any point blank 0 or none of that stuff dialed in, right? So my data on my scope is set to 0 on my rings, right? So how do we back up? Boom, 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 boom. So the two methods of applying your gun number in shooting, right? So the first method, what we're gonna do is our gun is gonna be set at 0 on the elevation, right? So your rings are locked, your windage is locked, and all that greatness, right? All right, so how you apply, right? So got my gun set at 0. What the very first thing I'm gonna do, obviously, I'm gonna find my target, right? So once I find that target, I'm going to range it, right? Whether I'm using a weapon-mounted laser rangefinder or a handheld rangefinder, right? I'm gonna range that target, right? So say for that first target I find, I have 320 yards, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that gun number 1.9 and I'm gonna subtract it from that 3.2, right? So math in public gives me a 1.3 is what the math would be, right? So then I go to my scope, go to my glass, and then I'm gonna hold over 1.3 on my reticle, and I'm gonna send it, right? I'll get a hit. All right, so next example, say we have a target at 570 yards, right? I'm gonna make that a decimal point, right? So I'm gonna say 5.7, right? So 5.7 is my range in mils, if you will. All right, so then I'm gonna subtract that 1.9 from that 5.7, and then I'll get my holdover, which math in public is gonna give me a 3.8. So I got my 3.8. I know what I have to hold for that target. hold over on the reticle, 3.8, send it, and hopefully I should get a hit. Fairly easy, right? All right, so that's the first method. The second method, right, and this will depend on if your scope actually allows you to do this, right? So what you can do is you can actually take your scope, like the Strike Eagle took the zero stop out, so it actually allows me to dial below my zero, right? So what I'll do is I'll actually dial 1.9 mils down, and essentially what you are doing is you're taking your gun number out instead of doing the math in public. You're essentially taking it out through your scope, right? So once you've dialed down on your elevation 1.9, right? So go back to the same process, right? I'm going to find my target. I'm going to range it. If a target is 320 yards, all right, I'm going to make that a decimal, 3.2. I'm going to hold 3.2 of elevation in my reticle. I'm going to send it, I'll hit, right? Same thing for that 570 yard target, right? Make that a decimal, 5.7. I'm going to hold 5.7 in my scope, and I will hit my target, right? Up until you hit that 700 yard mark, which was my my max for this. All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and show you guys the very first method, right? My gun is set to 0. All right, I'm going to find my targets, range them, subtract my gun number, and engage, right? So on my first target, 255, gonna make that a 2.5. We're at 0.6. All right, right in the center. All right, on my next target, I got that little coyote out there. .502. All right. Subtract that gun number. Give me a 3.1. Impact. One more time. Impact. All right. We'll transition over here to the right side of the range. Find my next target. For a little bit. In that brush back. All right, so 4.428, so 4.3. All right, so I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna hold, subtract my 1.9. I'm gonna hold a 2.4. Impact. One more time. Impact. All right, my next target, let's go for that coyote out there. .686, so I'm gonna go 690, so 6.9, subtract subtract the 1.9, give me a 4. And one more, 5. Impact. Impact. All right, so as you guys can see, Fairly easy to do. Just takes a little bit of math in public, and you should be good. All right, y'all. We're gonna go through the second method, right? Second method is where we're actually gonna dial our gun number down below our 0, right? So for my case, I have a 1.9. All right, so I'm gonna dial down below. Make sure you go below my gun number, right? So I'm gonna go back, transition over here to the left side of the range. All right, range that very first target out here. Well, the closest one we have. All right, 255, right? So I'm gonna make it a 2.5 is what my hold is gonna be in my reticle. All right, I'm gonna hold 2.5. Remember, because I already took that data out. Impact right in the middle. Okay, so let's go over. Let's tag that that coyote again. .502. All right, so I'm just gonna make that 5 mils in my scope. All right, to the left out there. Impact and done. Again, see how far that far IPSC is. 605 for that IPSC right behind it. So I'm gonna hold 6 mils. Impact. Impact. All right, let's try a far one out there. See if we can show you guys that this does not work. All right, there we go. All right, so right on the left side of this bowling alley, I have a pig at 800, right? So with this method, I should hold 8 mils and I should hit it in theory, but it's out of my max, so I'm not going to. See, it's a little bit low, right? Let's get one more shot. All right, you guys see, no hits on it, all right? So hope that video helped you guys out, answering any questions. If you guys have any additional questions about speed drop or any other type of questions with ret or the Kestrels or whatever the case is, feel free to shoot me a message. I'll try to answer whatever questions. Thanks for watching my video, guys.